foremost, when this was being reported earlier on in the week by the print media in relation to the fact that the president did not sign on the spending bill, and as we're heading into the financial year 2024-2025, starting Monday, now having a notice to reconsider the appropriation bill for 2024 is a letter that was addressed because I want the viewer to pretty much get to understand this particular one. To all honorable members of Parliament, Parliament passed the appropriation bill on Thursday, that was on 16th May 2024. However, the President returned the bill to Parliament for reconsideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 9, of Article 91(3) B and C of the Constitution. This is to inform that there will be a plenary sitting of Parliament that is on Tuesday next week, 2nd July. And please do note that by next week, we shall officially be into the next financial year. And this sitting will be focused on reconsidering the appropriation bill of 2024. Of course, there was also a document that was moving around, Chantal, about some of the spendings that had been, highlighted in the budget.
Yes. And,
that the president was still questioning about.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes.
So the president was still questioning about some of these spendings, and the mere fact that most of the spendings were going to be funded by the loans we were to get in the next financial year, or the ones that we are to get at the start of Monday. So these are things that the president was still questioning, and that's why the bill is back to Parliament for further discussions.
How I wish we had had such interventions a little earlier. I think we would be in a better place, and I think the accountability part would be would sort of properly be implemented. But away from that, the preliminary census report 2024 was also released this week, and according to the results that we have, we expect that we shall be having what we call the last or the final report given to us in September this very same year. But then usually the difference is not so big from what we are seeing. But for all we know, Ugandans are about 45, slightly over 45 million people. And yet initially we were having speculations of about 47. I don't know where we got the statistics from, but we did have those speculations. And also the fact that women are over 50% of the whole country's population. I had to say this because men have been telling us that men are less, so you need to handle them with care. On a Friday like this one, I want to know what...
there was also an argument that every man, 3 wives, because it seems...
You look like you're enjoying this conversation. For that matter, I will cross over to Robert.
No, I'm only thinking
Friday
because
morning.
if the women are more than the men, and even when you go into organizations, or if you happen to go in various societies today or communities, you realize that the women are more than the men in
I would like
given
to
areas.
clarify
this conversation.
So if we have, let's say, one man,
so
3
you're enjoying
wives,
this
or 1 man, 2
conversation and
women.
cutting you off.
Olive, let me clarify something.
Yes, Olive.
According to at least the preliminary report, men are 22.5 million and women are 23.4 million. So the difference is not as large as we would think. And also children between 0
to 2 wives.
No,
children between the age of
children between. When we say women, it's women inclusive.
We are talking about females.
Females, yes, females.
Yes,
are slightly over 50%, and that shouldn't be something for someone to tell us to get city wives.
No, when we actually, Chantal, I don't know when you say 50%, because we have 23.4 million. Over 22.5 million. That's yes, but still that's not. Men like to blot this out and say that women are so many, but actually the discrepancy, the difference is not so huge like men want to present it.
Now our viewer is being taken in a dilemma because I think there is an issue of women we are less, men are saying you're more. But
men,
the truth is,
you like to
me what I take out of the preliminary results, these are the final ones, is that at least the population growth has decreased, because the last census it was 3.0 and now we have 2.9, and I'm an advocate of children by choice and not chance. And I've already said on this show that I think there is a time has come maybe, I want to go slow on this, we are Africans, we love children so much. Maybe I should put a cap on the number of children someone should have. I remember when universal primary education was beginning in Uganda. First they had said 4 children per family. But later they said let other children go in universal education. Now, we keep on quarreling that government, its commitment per child in universal education is very minimal. But then every day, we are manufacturing children, of which we are not very sure of how they are going to go through school. We are talking of few drugs, few hospitals, recruitment of few doctors, but when you look at the manufacturing factor of human beings in Uganda, the number of children we are bringing every day, it becomes a problem. So for me, when I saw population growth having decreased, it's a very slight decrease, because if you look at 2.9 and 3.0, it's a slight decrease, but how I wish we lessen our appetite, not for SEX, but our appetite for giving birth. For giving birth.
Well, you will have to handle the other to reduce the other.
No, but it doesn't mean that every time this happens, you must have children. Because there's family planning. You know, there are family planning methods. So it doesn't mean that every time you get intimate, you must give us a creature on earth.
You see, and thank you so much for saying that, Robert, because now this is where men are brought into the conversation. Family planning management is hard if the women are doing it on their own, because in most cases the husbands are not on board. So if you want to reduce the appetite or the manufacturing of babies, like you called it, we need men on board to also understand the need and the importance for family planning, because you still hear in some places that women get giving birth too many times, because when they get on family planning, there is domestic violence, because the husbands think they are using family planning so that they can now go and be start philandering with other men. So we need the men on board.
But I've also seen women where men are pushing for family planning, saying that burden is so much on me, and the woman is saying, I'll give birth to my children. Some even bring funny excuses about family planning.
I hear you on that, and of course there is mindset change that needs to be done, but still your input is a bit anecdotal, because the facts and statistics show that men are not really supporting their wives when it comes to family planning. So it's not an attack on men, but it is a plea for men to be on board, so that we can even bring the birth rate even lower. Because right now, 0 to 17 years, children between the age of 0 to 17 make up 50% of the entire population of the country.
Right. Okay. Olive and Robert, tell us how you're feeling this morning before we dive into our local stories.
I would say it's a Friday, and there's a lot of relaxing. At least I'm not in a suit. And of course, no waking up early the following day. Some time for family above all. And depending on the focus, also some time for evening classes, catching up with colleagues, discussing issues of national importance, and socialization. But also for the people of Rubiji, I don't know why I'm getting very passionate about these people. NEMA yesterday still issued more eviction warnings to a number of families, and I happened to meet someone who was evicted from Rubiji. That was yesterday. And he was telling me his story, how they never got any warning. He's saying, bring evidence from NEMA that they did bring and we signed or something like that. And somehow, it is disorganizing me, because I saw this young man start his life, get some little money, buy land, then construct his house. And he was like, I have my 3 rooms, very proud. But only now to say he's looking for where to rent, because his house was put down. So it is not a very good thing in one or the other, though it is the right thing to do.
Our time is fast spent. Olive, how are you feeling this Friday morning?
I'm feeling good, really good, especially after the president sent back the budget for review. I like the part where he said, if we give $13.7 million to Islamic University in Uganda, which is a private university, how about universities like Ndeje, Basajabalaba, among others? What are we going to do for them? And I like that. In as much as earlier you said, I wish this was done earlier, I hear you in that, but I'm like, okay, this is still a step in the right direction, because what was that? What?
The budget we had. Well, this Friday morning, a lot is going to be happening. And earlier on, as you were having the discussion between you and Robert on the number of females and stuff like that, I just want to note this and say this to Sonko. Much as there is that conversation of men can marry 3 women and stuff like that, the conversation of women are more than the men. I think we need to now go to the conversation of the good men and the good women that can be married. For that matter, we cross over into today's lineup and see how we are holding up. Now we have events that are coming up. We have events that are coming up.
Yes, there is the High Shule Color Festival.
Yes,
that is coming up tomorrow, Kololo High, by our very own Abe Prosper here. Right. And of course, they are taking the entertainment, edutainment, and of course, fun and color, and the color spray as well. And then besides that, on Friday this morning, Uganda Uncovered is launching a writing competition for those in the tourism industry, especially the media and also other writers as well, social media influencers, those who are so enthusiastic about tourism and want to spread the tourism gospel as well. And it's also the day Irene Allen Namisango launches her edition of the Uganda Uncovered magazine. And for that matter, we shall be having the CEO of Uganda Uncovered in studio this morning. But also on our guest performance this very morning, we have T. Paul, who is a vocalist and songwriter. I don't know if you know about him, but personally I know, and I'm excited for today's act. But also we do have Jacqueline Mali, who is the president-elect Rotary Club of Kampala East. So please do stay with us because the lineup seems to be pretty good this morning. But before that, let's get into our local stories and see what transpired as of yesterday before we cross over into what is happening globally and in today's dailies.
Well, we'll begin with Parliament and the return of a prepared budget by His Excellency. Now, Parliament will, on Tuesday next week, break off from the ongoing recess to consider the return of Appropriation Bill 2024. The President returned the bill, which he seeks to allow government to spend funds from the Consolidated Fund to finance the 72.136 trillion budget for financial year 2024-2025. The President questioned how some funds to the tune of 750 billion were reallocated by members of Parliament without formal process. The move by the President has caused mixed reactions by members of Parliament, as some have questioned the spirit. On May 16th, this very year, Parliament passed an Appropriation Bill of 2024 to allow government to spend funds from the Consolidated Fund to finance the forthcoming financial year activities. With days left to the start of the financial year 2024-2025, President Museveni, in his wisdom, disagreed with some of the content in the bill. The government chief whip explained what this meant. Reliable information shows that the President was disturbed by the reallocations which the executive was unaware of, amounting to 750 billion, after members of Parliament informally shifted the funds. Kina Municipality Member of Parliament Ibrahim Semujunganda said that Parliament, over these allegations, was independent in its way. The government chief whip, Hamso Mobowa, refuted claims that the President's move disrespected the procedure of Parliament. Obowa clarified on the constitutional provision which paves way areas of dissent between the executive and Parliament. Legally, the President has 30 days to assent into law a bill of Parliament, but remains with a mandate to return any bill in case of dissatisfaction. Obowa calls the status a collective responsibility to ensure proper due diligence before funds are spent. Also notably is the fact that the President has returned the Appropriation Bill 2024 at a time when Parliament is on spot over allegations of corruption. The dilemma has since witnessed handful members of parliament being arrested.
Now moving on, for nearly 60 years, Uganda's population has been steadily increasing from 9.5 million people. 0.6 in 1980, 16.7 in 1991, 24.2 in 2002, 34.6 in 2014, and now 45.9 in 2024. This is according to the National Housing and Population Census recently conducted in the country. According to the preliminary census report, the population growth rate stands at 2.9%, down from 3.0 in 2014. The youth make up the largest portion of Uganda's population, and this confirms the country's position as one of the countries with the youngest population in the world. Such population growth rate is not a burden to the country, but an opportunity for economic growth. This is according to President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who officiated the release of the preliminary census report. Museveni does not believe in birth measures, but rather making people live longer. Museveni urges the public to desist from ancient superstitions and embrace developmental projects to match the rising population growth. The 2024 National Housing and Population Census was conducted between May 10th to May 27th. The preliminary report is not yet conclusive, according to the Uganda Bureau of Statistics.
And away from issues of population, we now move to evictions. Now, residents of Nansana and surrounding areas yesterday were served with eviction notices ordering them to vacate in a period of 21 days or risk being forced out of the protected Rubiji wetland. As National Environmental Management Authority continues to sweep off encroachers on Rubiji wetland, the affected persons have accused NEMA for citing and using impunity. Yesterday, NEMA officials spent the better part of the day hawking around eviction notices in Nansana, where a majority of the residents attempted to plead for a pardon, but in vain. Structures were remaining with just final touches and had no kind words for some of these structures for NEMA officials. For homes where owners were absent, NEMA officials were seen pushing eviction notices through any visible opening, most so under the doors. As notices for eviction, here was a 50-year-old Serunjoji Dan who claims to have lived in this area for all his life. Like others, Serunjoji has barely 3 weeks to become homeless. Legally, the eviction notice gives encroachers a period of not more than 21 days within which they should appeal the order or give way for restoration of the wetland. The law grants NEMA to use force to remove encroachers and restore the depleted area. Important to note, however, is the fact that demolitions of encroacher structures is entirely the responsibility of the owner, or a provision that some residents have termed as unfair and called for its amendment.
Now, in other news, the Ministry of Education and Sports inspection team has issued a notice of closure of boarding sections of Chitebi SS if the school does not comply with the set guidelines of boarding schools. The ongoing inspection follows a series of fires which have resulted into loss of property and life and the increasing number of illegal boarding facilities in the country, with many flouting required minimum standards. The Education Ministry inspection team, together with Kampala Capital City Authority and Deputy RCC Lubaga Division, have inspected Lubaga Girls, Happy Years Primary School and Chitebi Secondary School. At Lubaga Girls, the school operates a boarding section, but the dormitories are congested with limited space. Triple deckers are still evident, contrary to the ministry's directive. At Chitebi Secondary School, a USE government school, congested dormitories is what welcomes you when you enter inside. The suitcases are kept on the same beds which learners sleep on. The triple deckers are also evident there. It was clear at Chitebi SS the school turned previous classrooms into dormitories with no proper aeration. The Education Ministry inspection team, upon asking if the school has authorization to operate a boarding section, the school authorities' evidence was not clear. Basing on this, the school has been given up to 23rd August 2024 to comply with the standard boarding guidelines of or if not, its boarding section faces closure. The sanitation was found wanting too around the kitchen area. It was also seen in some schools there was no exit doors for dormitory students in case of an emergency. In some, the exit doors are blocked with beds, others with windows had to open, a reality that puts learners at risk in case of a fire. However, some have started removing the burglars in windows and resorting to double deckers. Well, that does it for our local news. Back to you, Chantal.
Well, let's cross over and see what is happening on the international scene. Now, we are starting off with the U.S. presidential debate. Now, U.S. President Joe Biden and former President out at one another in a testy televised debate, the first of the 2024 election. The two rivals accused one another of lying as they answer wide-ranging questions on issues including foreign policy, the economy, and abortion. Trump repeatedly attacks Biden on the economy and his foreign policy record, while Biden takes aim at his rival's criminal conviction and alleged attempts to overturn the 2020 election. The stakes are high as both men come face to face for the first time in almost 4 years to try and convince voters they should back them on the 5th of November this very year. This is the second time Biden, a Democrat, and Trump, a Republican, will challenge each other for the White House after Trump lost in 2020. Away from that, Oklahoma's top education official has ordered schools in the state to begin incorporating the Bible into lessons in the latest U.S. cultural flashpoint over religion in the classroom. A directive sent by Republican State Superintendent Ryan Waters said the rule was compulsory, requiring immediate and strict compliance. The rule will apply to lessons for all public school students aged from 11 to 18. It comes a week after Louisiana's governor signed a law directing all public schools in that state to display the 10 Commandments. Moving on back to Africa now, police in Kenya's capital Nairobi have fired tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse demonstrators who rallied in another day of protests sparked by a controversial bill that would have raised taxes on essential goods. Hundreds of people on Thursday took to the streets to call for President William Ruto's removal a day after he caved into young protesters' demands to withdraw the deeply unpopular tax hike bill. As protesters headed to Nairobi's central business district, soldiers were deployed and police in anti-riot gear blocked access along roads leading to Ruto's office at State House and Parliament of Kenya. Turnout by demonstrators, however, was low compared to the previous days after the mass protests turned violent, killing more than 20 people according to the human rights groups. The Kenyan National Commission for Human Rights said on social media yesterday that it had received credible reports of live fire being used against civilians protesting across the country. This resulted into some deaths, though it did not specify where the alleged incidents took place. And lastly, matters climate. Record floods that killed over 170 people and displaced 500,000 in southern Brazil are a warning sign of more disasters to come throughout the Americas because of climate change, an official at the United Nations Refugee Agency said on Tuesday. Roughly 389,000 people in the state of Rio Grande do Sul remain displaced from their homes because of the intense rain and flooding, which local officials say was the worst disaster in the region's history, and scientists say climate change made the flooding twice as likely to happen. And that leads us to the end of our international news. Let's check what is happening in the dailies this Friday morning.
Well, from our dailies this morning, the New Vision is highlighting that 50% of Ugandans are below the age of 17. Population growth is at 11.3 million, about 1 million more women than men. Census analysis, more of that is in the New Vision. There is a total breakdown of how things are and how the details were released by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics yesterday, and the regions that have the majority of the population. Now, Acts of Parliament rearranged, says the New Vision, as the Law Reform Commission has launched a revised edition of Uganda's laws, forming the 7th edition of the Principal Laws of Uganda. Also in the Bride and Groom magazine, as are we to perform at the Expo as it kicks off. Now, away from that, we look at the Daily Monitor. Regions with fastest growing population, the influencers, West Nile, which has huge refugee numbers, and Karamoja, a rising mining hub, post fastest population growth rate, although Buganda, Busoga and Ankole, in descending order, remain most populated and potentially swing regions for the 2026 presidential elections. Now, in the Scoop magazine, Uganda is like my second home. Nameless, who is here to perform for the Blankets and Wine, shares his story. And then also analysis, riots put independence on Nairobi route into sharp focus. As more of that is in the Daily Monitor. Now, lastly, from our press reviews, the Daily Nation, those we lost. Pictorial of some of the faces of the famous Gen Zs that were lost during the riots. There is Benson Bithi of Kisumu, Evans Kitaru of Nairobi, Michael Kihunga from Nakuru, Austin Makoha, a 17-year-old from Nakuru, Ibrahim Kamau, 19-year-old from Nairobi, Eric Kayoni, 27-year-old from Nairobi, Rex Masai, 29-year-old from Nairobi, and there is also Caroline Chiramba, 35-year-old from Kakamega. Now, also, why court okayed decision to deploy military on the streets of Nairobi. As in education, jobs reprieve for sacked JSS teachers. That is what the Daily Nation is highlighting for you at the front page. So you can grab a copy of one of those so that you can get more details.
All right, now we're getting to the song of the day, and this is by Otile Brown featuring Ali Kiba, and the title is In Love. When we come back, great conversations and performances await. Stay with us. President saying, I'm not signing, I'm not in for this.
You know, first and foremost, when this was being reported earlier on in the week by the print media in relation to the fact that the president did not sign on the spending bill, and as we're heading into the financial year 2024-2025 starting Monday, now having a notice to reconsider the appropriation bill for 2024 is a letter that was addressed because I want the viewer to pretty much get to understand this particular one. To all honorable members of Parliament, Parliament passed the appropriation bill on Thursday, that was on 16th May 2024. However, the President returned the bill to Parliament for reconsideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 9 of Article 91(3) B and C of the Constitution. This is to inform that there will be a plenary sitting of Parliament that is on Tuesday next week, 2nd July. And please do note that by next week, we shall officially be into the next financial year. And this sitting will be focused on reconsidering the appropriation bill of 2024. Of course, there was also a document that was moving around, Chantal, about some of the spendings that had been, highlighted in the budget,
yes. And,
that the president was still questioning about.
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
So the president was still questioning about some of these spendings, and the mere fact that most of the spendings were going to be funded by the loans we were to get in the next financial year, or the ones that we are to get at the start of Monday. So these are things that the president was still questioning, and that's why the bill is back to Parliament for further discussions.
How I wish how I wish we had had such interventions a little earlier. I think we would be in a better place, and I think the accountability part would be would sort of properly be implemented. But away from that, the preliminary census report 2024 was also released this week, and according to the results that we have, we expect that we shall be having what we call the last or the final report given to us in September this very same year. But then usually the difference is not so big from what we are seeing, but for all we know, Ugandans are about 45, slightly over 45 million people, and yet initially we were having speculations of about 47. I don't know where we got the statistics from, but we did have those speculations, and also the fact that women are over 50% of the whole country's population. I had to say this because men have been telling us that men are less, so you need to handle them with care. On a Friday like this one, I want to know what...
there was also an argument that every man, 3 wives, because it seems...
You look like you're enjoying this conversation. For that matter, I will cross over to Robert.
No, I'm only
on this
thinking
Friday
because
morning.
if the women are more than the men, and even when you go into organizations, or if you happen to go in various societies today or communities, you realize that the women are more than the men.
I would like to
clarify this conversation.
So if we have, let's say, one man,
so
3
you're
wives,
enjoying this
or 1 man,
conversation,
2
I'm
women.
cutting you off.
Olive, let me clarify something.
Yes, Olive.
According to at least the preliminary report, men are 22.5 million and women are 23.4 million. So the difference is not as large as we would think. And also children between 0
to 2 wives.
No,
children between the age of
children between. When we say women, it's women inclusive of
we are talking about females.
Females, yes, females.
Yes,
are slightly over 50%, and that shouldn't be something for someone to tell us to get 3 wives.
No, when we actually, Chantal, I don't know when you say 50%, because we have 23.4 million over 22.5 million. That's yes, but still that's not. You know, men like to blot this out and say that women are so many, but actually the discrepancy, the difference is not so huge like men want to present it.
Now our viewer is being taken in a dilemma. Because I think there is an issue of women we are less, men are saying you're more. But
men,
the truth is,
you like to
me
say
what I take out of the preliminary results, these are the final ones, is that at least the population growth has decreased. Because the last census it was 3.0 and now we have 2.9, and I'm an advocate of children by choice and not chance. And I've already said on this show that I think there is a time has come. Maybe, I want to go slow on this, we are Africans, we love children so much. Maybe I should put a cap on the number of children someone should have. I remember when universal primary education was beginning in Uganda. First they had said 4 children per family. But later they said let all the children go in universal education. Now, we keep on quarreling that government, its commitment per child in universal education is very minimal. But then every day, we are manufacturing children, of which we are not very sure.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life. Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Thank you for sticking around now. As we earlier on were having the same conversation on the results that were, let's call them preliminary results that were released by the URSB, no, by you, boss, not URSB, on the population census that was recently carried out in the country, and we expect to be getting the final results come September this very same year. And usually the difference is not so big now. As of 2014, Ugandans were 34.6 million, and as of yesterday's report that was released, Ugandans are estimated to be at 45.9 million, and this is an increase by 11.3 million persons since 10 years ago, and we're here to have the conversation on how we can control population growth in the country. Now, this is not because there has been an increase it's not because there's been an increase, but it's because probably we need to have the conversation on how we can control the population. And earlier on, Robert had the idea that yes, we need to actually look into this. And even when we were still offset, he mentioned that maybe we need to adopt the method that China used, controlling how many children can you have, and if you can manage them. There had to be assessments on whether you could. For example, in some countries or in some states in the US, for example, some years you would have to prove to the government that you can handle more than one or more than two children. And the conversation, I think, is what Robert is trying to put forward, and I'll be picking his mind on the very same. But my question to you as a Ugandan would be, do you think we should actually be controlling population growth in the country? Do you think it is really necessary, considering factors like service delivery, or even when you look at the gap between the rich and the poor? When you look at also, even let's talk about the refugees themselves as well. And that is the conversation we're having this morning. So, Robert, I'm going to be starting with you. When you talk about controlling population growth, what is the first thing that comes to your mind?
One is you have quantity but not quality. So how best do you have both quantity and quality, or do you have quality and not quantity? Now, this is a very sensitive topic, I must say, Chantal. And please don't feel offended. We are just seeing how better can we have our Uganda.
Okay.
You know, you're proud of a youthful population, being majority of your population, but unfortunately, how much of this population is productive? How much of this population is contributing to the tax base? You're talking of a population where majority of your population are in ghettos. Majority of this population are involved in high levels of criminality, and you're still saying we at liberty to have as many as we can. You have a country where the fertility rate is 4.58, that every woman of child giving birth on average gives birth to 4 children. Now the 5 point something, I don't know half person, but that is statistics, so I understand it better now. With such, it means if you have a huge population but not productive, sustainability for you to provide crucial services for this population is going to be hard, no matter your resource envelope, because you're looking after people that are not contributing to the tax base or towards sensible national growth. Where are you going to get the funds to look after these people? So that is why we believe that we need a cap on population. You go to a village, and this I know many of you have seen. You find a man who has no job. He wakes up, moves around the village, but is a father of 12. You go to universal primary education. In this day and age, you find children there, a uniform is torn. Totally torn. The young girl will tell you, I've ever experienced this. I was in Masaka one time, and when I went to visit, they told me, you work on TV, this girl has seen you, and she said that she wants, when she grows up, she wants to work on TV. But recently, she stepped out of school. So I said, let me talk to her. I asked her, but if you want to work on TV, then why did you step out of school? She said, Uncle, my uniform tore, I don't have a petticoat. Now, when I got to school, they laugh at me. Now, government has provided the school fees, but the father of this child could not afford, the family could not afford. But this is a man who had 13 children. Now, a young girl with a vision, a young girl with so much desire. And I said, how much do they cost? Every time, remind me, I'll make Mike a humble contribution. She's still in school even up to today. So, if we continue thinking that government will provide, but we do not look at how are we going to stretch. People criticize government that is giving so little per child in universal primary education. A term may be less than even, a term less than 10,000. But look at the big chunk of money. If we continue having these children, that government will be providing per child. It can't increase because almost every year you're having about 10 million joining primary. Now, if you're looking at 10 million and you're giving 10,000 per each, how much is that? And when government relies on me and my beautiful here, you and your handsome there, making a choice, this only works to the elite. It works for Chantal, it works for Najuma, it works for Robert, it works for the Sonkos, who feel that they need to have children they can look after. But for villager deep there, for them, every child comes with their own blessing. So, you can only put a law to say no. If this means you having to face justice for going around and because you have options.
Thank you, Robert. And I'll now be crossing over to Olive and trying to find out, in her opinion, if we should indeed start considering putting a cap on how many people, how many children are we giving birth to as Ugandans. So, Olive, I would like to know if you really think this is a conversation we should be having on whether we should have control on our population as a country.
I think we already have control on our population as a country. This is evidenced by the slight reduction in the growth from 3.0 to 2.9. Now, I understand that's small, but it is still something, because it would have been bad or worse if from 3.0 we had gone now up to maybe 3.5, 3.8. But that being said, I believe that we already are on the right track in terms of population control. We do not need laws. Personally, I think we are not yet where China was. If someone could tell me at what population, at how many million did they decide to have the one-child rule and later the two-child rule. But where we are at, if indeed we are about 45.9 million Ugandans, yes, that's quite a number given that we don't have enough resources to take care of the entire country the way we would want to. But I still believe that a lot has been done, so we just need to increase pressure. There has been a lot done in terms of expansion of family planning services to couples, to women in hard-to-reach areas, and in most government facilities, family planning methods or services are actually free. And then in others where they are paying for them, they are subsidized so that women can be able to access them and use them favorably. And also, maybe what we need is more information regarding family planning, because we still have myths to demystify, because there are still people, like Robert said earlier at the beginning of the show, there are still women who think that family planning methods are going to burn their eggs, they are going to make them infertile, they are going to, take away their sexual appetite and many others. So if we could bust and demystify these myths, then we will be going in the right direction. So what do we need to do? Instead of a law, for me, I propose that we continue. Remember the campaigns we used to have of family planning, where they would even, I remember one poignant billboard around the old taxi park and a new tax park, where there was a lady entering a taxi and she had a line of like 7, 8 kids behind her, and the caption was, Zala abana abaja mu taxi. So if we have campaigns like that and change mindsets, what we need is mindset change. People to understand that it's okay to have children, but you know what they tell women lately, Zala bono sobolo okulabirira, or have children you can take care of. So instead of just giving birth because your womb is happy, we could talk to people to understand that, yes, giving birth could be easy for you, but these are the consequences of many children. And also have them look at success stories of people that have fewer children, the quality of life their children have, vis-a-vis the quality of life their children have. I believe we can turn things around.
Thank you, Olive. You've really mentioned quite a number of things. Well, maybe we will have a conversation sometime on how we can demystify the myths that could be existing on family planning. Though you and I know that some of those things actually hold water. But let's cross over to Sonko. you know what I'm talking about. Let's cross over to Sonko.
I don't know which part, but I can.
Best believe you're a very intelligent woman. I know you know what I'm talking about. Let's cross over to you, Sonko. Should we really consider population control in this country? And after that, probably you could also give us the reasons as to why we should or shouldn't consider it.
Well, we should consider it, but we shouldn't have a law put up. Why? Because we are not yet into an alarming situation.
So we should wait to get into an alarming one.
Okay, I'm trying to come there.
Ooh, okay.
When you look into the situation we are in, having population growth, dropping slightly to 2.9, that is more like 1 decimal point, really, if you come to think of it mathematically. But in the situation we are in today is only alarming because we do not have enough resources to manage the population we have today.
But are we managing the little resources we have properly?
Because we're also not doing it. Because the biggest worry, okay, why we would need to control, this is now coming in from why this conversation should be driven to an individual basis, is why we need to control the population is because we are not yet into the position as a country to even manage the small population we have today. So which is more worrying if at all the population growth goes way beyond, let's say, 4. Because here it's now at 2.9. Now it was at 3.0. Now if it goes to 4, our concern would be, can we even manage this? Because when you look at the reasons as to why we have so many of these cases of people giving birth, let's say someone says every child comes in with their blessing, you also get to realize that many of these people don't have what to do. I don't know if you've been able to notice that for the people who normally give birth to, let's say, or have a small family, these are people who are always busy at work, and maybe they've been privileged or quite fortunate to get jobs and maybe start up businesses. So they have limited time for some of these things. Now, when you go into areas of the underprivileged or in slum areas where we are seeing lots of, high childbirth rates, and then you also look at people in upcountry areas, you do realize that most of the men wake up in the morning and the best they do is go to a local pub and try to drink something, and by midday they're back home.
Already drunk.
And then you do realize that it's the woman or the mother who is always trying to go in the garden, try to look for something to eat. Now when she returns, this is where we even hear cases of rape amongst the married, because this man has nothing to do. Now, as much as we are looking at the fact that it's a healthy population, you do realize that as long as we continue having so many unemployed people, the chances are so many that we're going to be having more children. What Robert said, we are going to become a manufacturing kind of plant, because you don't have what to you don't have what to do, and the only physical activity that you can engage in is engaging in intimacy, because they do have the power really. At that time, you have the energy, you have the power, you have the time. Best believe you're going to end up producing more children. So I think what we need to focus on is, like Monica said, if we were to look at mindset change. But before we even tap into mindset change, can we make it possible for the people who do not have jobs to do something? Because once they do something, they will start being accountable for their actions. Because remember, when you have something you're doing that brings in an income, you're going to be worried about overspending. And what brings in the overspending is that if you have too many children, you realize it will be cutting into your expenditure and you will not be able to manage your finances well. So that is something that we really need to consider as well, because when we have a population, because when you look at our population, which is that is the working population from 14 to 64 years, you do realize it's 55.6%. Now, that is the population that is supposed to be working, but that does not represent the people who are actually having jobs or are having businesses. So we also need to look into that matter, and then slowly by slowly, you'll realize that individuals themselves will start setting out, you know, they will start planning for themselves, because at times you do realize that the government will fail at looking out for Ugandans, and then it goes back to the individual basis. That an individual, you need to realize that I cannot give birth to more than this because I cannot take care of them. Because you also know that your job or business can't afford that.
Sonko, I would like to add to what you said. When you said that the people who are giving birth a lot, in most cases, are the people that have nothing to do. And according to a report by the New Vision, it shows that on average, a woman in Karamoja region, which is has 6.7 children in her lifetime. It is the most fertile region in the country. And when you look at their way of life, they are largely impoverished. And when you look at areas like Bukedi, Busoga, Bunyoro, and Toro, they have a birth rate of 6.5, 5.7, 5.5, and 5.3 children. And Teso at 5.4. Now, when you come back to Kampala, it has the lowest birth rate at 3.7. So what Song said makes so much sense, because in Kampala, people are at least somewhat busy. So the birth rate goes down. And also, it's like it's very easy for them to access information and services vis-a-vis their counterparts in other regions.
But I think also,
I just want to call in our viewer, just to let them know that they can reach us on 0709602592. You send in your feedback, and let's hear from you what you think. Should we actually be having population control? Is it a conversation to have? Robert, you're saying something.
Well, there are also two institutions we must look at here critically. I remember when we had the campaign about family planning.
Yes.
I don't want to speak which religious institution, but it never came out clear on that.
I know the institution, even in their hospitals, they don't provide family planning
and for
services.
them, we're like, they are refusing. They're not sending this gospel. When we go to culture, they will tell you a young man who dies and has not produced children, in some culture, you don't pass through the front door. It's like a punishment. Your body is made shameful because you didn't have a child. So manju, you know. This issue of you finish school, now you need to start a family, you need to have a child. The issue of when you start a family, after 1 year or 2 years down, the aunties begin, what is happening? You know? It doesn't mean that if you're married, then definitely. So, we need to look at culture, we need to look at religion. If these have failed, then if a law is in place, because good enough, we are beginning to digitalize everything in Uganda. That you will have your national ID, it has your fingerprints. Today, registering children, I remember the summit that Ministry of Education carried out. But the child would have to produce evidence of the father's national ID, the NIN, I think also the mother. So we can track that. Robert Chirabo Nyonyton, how many children do we have that are registered on your NIN? You know, then either I can even send you a message if we have your phone number, that you're reminded the cap is 3 children. So you still have 1 more child to produce if you desire so.
Robert, do you know why I disagree with you on that?
There's someone in the comments who tends to agree with you, Robert, and says, good morning, guys. For sure, we need the law, because if you go to the villages, people are producing anyhowly, and yet they can't take care of these children. And that is it for the comments that we have now. We do have only 2 minutes to the close of this conversation, so I'll get your parting shots, starting with you, Olive, and then Robert, and then we can close with Sonko.
Yes, I was saying I disagree with having a law for population control, because we like to compare ourselves. Look at the law. When they had the law, their population had grown from 540 million people in 1949 to 969 million people in 1980. That's when they had the law. But fast forward, that law has been overturned because now yes, there are still many, but young people have not been producing, and most of the majority of their population are now the aged people. So what am I saying? We are still in a good place. Maybe instead of the law, like I said earlier, let's continue with family planning, gospel, and also let's manage the little resources that we have well, so that every Ugandan can benefit. We can do this, but it starts with mindset change.
Thank you, Olive. Your parting shot, Robert.
Government of a third world country, no matter how big our basket is, as long as we don't have a population cap. China, how big was China? The size of China. Now, when China put that cap, look at how they have been able to have that small population, empower the young children. Today, China, in every part of this country, you'll find something produced by this population. So, the appetite we have for giving birth in this country, the cultural institutions may not do us justice, religious institutions may not do us justice. It is government, and I want to call upon our parliamentarians. Honorable, I think she's Saro Pendi, you're good at fronting some bills, and I have very much confidence in you. It is time we table a bill on how many children a person must produce, so that we get our resources to do other things.
No, Robert.
Thank you, Robert.
No.
Sonko, your parting shot.
I think we're not yet there. We're not yet there to call for a law or let's say regulation kind of. I think we really need to work on the social services. This thing will just happen. It will be an automatic kind of control for us. Remember, if someone can take care of their children, we are in a society where if someone can take care of their children, it won't be a worry. But the problem is, when you also look at the high crime rate today, if you happen to trace the roots of the young boys and girls who are involved in such crime, you do realize they're coming from backgrounds where their parents were just doing things out of excitement just because they didn't have anything to do. So to me, I think, we are not yet ready to compare ourselves to China, but of course it's always good to compare yourself to someone who has done it better than you. But our population is not that alarming for now, but we wouldn't wish to see it alarming. So I think, and I pray that the government works on service provision. That means we have to ensure that we empower every region so that everyone gets busy. Trust me, when people get busy, the chances are they will only have very minimal time for some of these activities.
Well, the conversation has been heated, and we've been talking about controlling the population growth in the country. And is it necessary for us to have a law or to put a cap on it? Maybe, maybe not. And that is how we have been. Moving this very morning. Now, coming up is a conversation between Jerome Paul Sonko and Jacqueline Mali, who is the president-elect of Rotary Club Kampala East. Stick around for this conversation. Thank you for watching.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda. Pick of the day on UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Every Friday, 9 p.m., it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Was brought to you by.
I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, baby, don't know. You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
107.3, Kampala 96.9, Mbale 95.7, Jinja 98.6, Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego. Tonight on UBC.
How do people again end up having land that is registered in such places?
Wetland is protected wherever it is. It doesn't matter whether you own the title or not.
There are people that were growing flowers and some vegetation. How does that affect the good things that come out of wetlands that you mentioned?
To grow flowers there, you create channels. That is already destroying wetland functionality.
Some people expect that there would be even compensations of these buildings that are brought down and other activities.
We cannot compensate you because we are not dispossessing your ownership. We are only saying remove the illegal use and have legal use.
Tonight on UBC.
Juko. Yo. Wachiko. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning and thank you very much for sticking around. It's Friday and this is Good Morning Uganda Friday edition. I am Joram Paul Sonko. I have Jacqueline Mali. Now Jacqueline Mali is the new president-elect. That is the word to use. President-elect for Kampala East. That is Rotary Club of Kampala East. So she is yet to be sworn in as president. But well, as of now, she's the acting, I should say, as she waits for the current to hand over officially. Welcome on board, and well, for those of you who are sending in your comments following our conversation we've been having, thank you very much. The conversation does continue online. I'll go through one comment here from SMS. This one says, educating family planning methods to the individuals in health facilities and other health centers to minimize population in the country should be a priority. You didn't leave your name, but again, thank you very much for your comment. Then there's this one who says, why is Yugi so much concerned with the population growth? Gentleman or lady, you need to realize we can't plan for what we don't know. And I hope that makes sense to you this morning. But besides that, we now focus on to our conversation in regards to Rotary, as we have the president-elect. A very good morning, Madam Jacqueline Mali, and thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here this morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay.
Yes, good morning, Uganda. Good morning, Uganda. I was trying to get the camera right, friends. Good morning, Uganda. It's a pleasure to be here with the team. Really humbling, I have to say.
Jacqueline Mali, and it's pretty an interesting name, I should say. Which region are you coming from?
Actually from the northern part of Uganda. Actually, I'm always asked about that.
Yes.
It's linked to a bishop from Mukono.
Oh.
And then a TV series from Kenya.
Mali.
And what else? And
country,
money. But
really.
it's just about perseverance. That is what I was told.
Okay, the name Mali itself.
Yes.
All right, and getting into, you know, the conversation of Rotary, for example, you as a Rotarian, I think that is the right word.
Yes.
As a Rotarian,
right, yes.
how do you get into Rotary? Did you start right from Interact in school, or it is something that you jumped on board once it was in the Rotary level? Because I was told from Interact
really
to Rotaract to Rotary. And I've been having conversations with Rotarians, and they've been giving me, because I'm planning to join one soon, so I want to know how things are going. But I wish to know, how do you get into Rotary? What inspired you, if that is the right word to use?
I think, first of all, I have to credit you for having that interest and, you know, taking a record of everything that we do. Actually, you don't invite yourself to Rotary.
Okay.
Yes, because Rotarians, Rotaractors, and Interactors are individuals that are held in very high regard, individuals that have a high level of integrity, but also established either as business persons or professionals. And someone will identify you and will invite you for a meeting.
Okay.
And at the meeting, all you have to do is just observe what is being done, what is being said, especially as far as projects are concerned.
Okay.
Now, the idea of mentorship starts when you appear at a club. They will talk to you, they will encourage you, they will take you actually to their project sites.
Okay.
And I think within that journey that you make with them, it can take like maybe a period over 3 to 6 months.
You make your decisions.
You will start actually thinking about it, because there will be a turning point that will cause that spark in you to say, I can actually belong to this fraternity.
Okay.
That's basically all.
Okay, it's good that you've given us, you know, the fact that there is always, it's more like a growth kind of process for you to get into the system, getting to know how it works and the like. Now, why, or, you know, how important it is it for an individual or my viewer out there who is yet to join or who has no interest whatsoever or who knows nothing about Rotary to be part of it, or for a student who's at university or a given institute to join Rotaract? But let's take it from the Rotary perspective. Why would one join it?
Okay. Actually, Mr. Sonko, when you asked me that question, I thought about 4 E's.
Okay.
The first one is empathy. The second is emotional intelligence. I'm just coming up with this one, E, investment, because we are all going E,
Exactly.
but E, investment, and then every day. When you join this fraternity, you will be someone that embraces empathy. You have to be compassionate.
True.
If you're in this fraternity, the level of emotional intelligence, how you listen, how you interact, how you work with others, how you blend, how you appreciate certain processes or procedures, the way in which they are done, becomes very important. E-investment is the way to go. I actually was just having a conversation with another host that is coming on very soon.
Okay.
And he was talking so passionately, he's a youthful person, but he was talking so passionately about tourism sector.
Okay.
And that is one thing that we promote here in Rotary, Rotaract and Interact, that you're an individual with these interesting ideas
yes.
you bring to table, and you are trying to share ideas, you're trying to talk, you know, like, you know, the setting that happens when you're in a business summit, or just having a conversation over a cup of tea, or we've converged around, like the African culture has it, that we talk about these different ideas that will lead to some output. And the reason why I say every day is that we do this on a daily basis. On a daily, you're thinking, what idea could I come up with that will help impact someone out there that is less fortunate than I am, the business person or the professional?
Okay.
So Rotary, for a person that is out there that wants to know all about it, first of all, we have a unique brand. Yes, And we celebrate this brand every day with this unique identifier.
Okay.
It's called the Rotary Wheel.
Okay.
You wear it on this left part of your body. Actually, when we're having our meetings, most times there's this gesture.
It's more like you're singing the national anthem in football games, eh?
Okay, you know you shouldn't. We don't mention football, religion, and those things. We try to.
It's more like a Rotary family now. Today you're Rotarians.
It's part of what we do. It's part of. I don't want to use the word ritual, but it's part of identifying with a fraternity that does things uniquely. We tell our story every day through the acts that we carry out in communities that are less privileged than we are. And we go out there to share our story with a unique brand, the unique identifier. It's called the Lepo pin. And interestingly, it has 6, right now, there are 7, but it has 6 spokes that are around here that talk about our objective. Water and sanitation, education, maternal and child health, supporting the environment, preventing disease.
Climate change, supporting the environment makes sense now. Which brings me to the question of...
So wear it with us every day.
Which brings me to the question of what really happens in Rotary. Because everyone asks, back in school, some of us just used to join Interact parties. We didn't join the Interact kind of meetings and all. All we had was we had a meeting in Interact and that ends. They would go in the evening, they would go in the night, have conversations and stuff like that. So most of us just thought it's more like a club of discussion. But for my viewer out there or someone who is being initiated in the Rotary or in the Rotary program like you've given me 3 to 6 months, what should they know about what happens in Rotary?
Okay. First of all, I have to point out that as individuals, we are struggling on a daily basis to establish ourselves in a certain way. The challenge with this is that no one is going to give you the answers, and no answer is going to be perfect or not. But right from the time, I think, when we are kids, we struggle to move, we struggle to talk. Then when we are in school, I think those that are learned in the areas of socialization are tried to explain what a socialization process is all about. Fitting in society, going through certain levels of, let me say, self-actualization and all those kinds of things. But when I talk about my individual experience, that's why I'm particularly excited about the upcoming installation that is going to take place on 4th July. Yes.
Because, as we are heading into, you getting there.
Yes.
Here at UBC,
it's an identity thing.
We kind of talk about inspiring Ugandans. And what inspired you to stand for presidentship? Or do you...
We don't actually contest.
Exactly, because I need to also know. You wake up in the morning and you hear, this one is the president-elect. And what I do know, and what I want the viewers to know, is that it's someone only has one annual, time as president, or it's a term of 1 year per person, which makes it even very beautiful and an exciting experience for anyone. So what happens? You do not stand or you do not contest.
No, you don't
what
contest.
Then happens?
And that's, I think that's one of the reasons why I really got interested in this particular fraternity. Just as you'd see, there's a program that really touched my heart one time. It's called the 100 Club on CNN. Yes. They try to celebrate business franchises. I hope that exists in English. They are trying to celebrate a franchise.
You can keep it at franchise.
A franchise that have existed for 100 years. Now, for Rotary, our business has existed for 117 years, where we are just serving people. But you don't do it as an individual. We do it as a group. And that group subscribes to certain procedures, processes, just like you rightly talked about the leadership avenue, that people are prepared for leadership. Maybe some people out there are struggling at their workplaces. Everyone is hoping that maybe I'll be promoted or I'll be seen as the most aggressive marketeer, but doesn't get that break. But here, as long as you show your passion, as long as you show your enthusiasm, as long as you go out there and just show them who you are, that is all it takes. So, Mr. Sonko, like you said, maybe your interest is, let me say, public speaking. and you really want to touch a heart through public speaking, we invite you. We have something called vocational defense.
Okay.
You talk about why you love it so much. There could be someone out there who's struggling with a problem. Actually, I always tell people that I'm very shy, but they don't believe it. I tell them, you have to fight the little demons you have in there in order to belong, in order to be in society. So, like I was explaining, someone comes from school. I used to see those people interact, but I didn't even take an interest. I think I was more into learning how to, type. It was a vocational skill.
Okay.
So I'm good with So I was more interested about that. I did not realize, I did not know that it was important for us to go through certain steps.
Okay.
So here we are in the world. Everyone has to compete. You and I are swimming among sharks. We are trying to identify in a way that will help us get to a certain level. But how are we going to do that? Through networks.
Okay.
And useful ones too.
Speaking of Kampala East now, let's take our conversations to the Rotary that you represent, or
the club,
that you belong to now. Yeah. Is it, how do you break down these regions? Is it a breakdown of communities, or just a setup where you wake up and say Kampala West, Kampala East? I want us to think local now. How do we identify? Because in classes, in school we had streams. Yes. P4 East, P4 East. Oh. So what happens in Rotary? How do you come up with such clubs in, for example, Kampala?
Okay.
And in simpler terms, as Kampala East, what region are you taking, or what group of people or cluster of divisions in Kampala are you going to be leading?
Okay. Thank you for that question. It's actually very passionate to my heart because it is hinged on the issue of culture.
Okay.
Every club out there, I think since Saturday, we are counting 126 of them because we keep forming them every day. A club has a unique culture, and this hinges around the name you will select, the unique brand of people that you're going to attract, and what kind of activities you're going to do, and in the community that you're going to do these activities. So at the Rotary Club of Kampala East, we are known as a singing club. We love a conversation that is also known as Chivozivozi. And then after the 1 hour of the meeting, we converge and we talk about issues that pertain the club, which is less formal. But it helps now potential guests like you to understand a little bit more about the intricacies that are embedded in there. So when we are selecting the names, we are just, you look at the locus of the place where you want to attract the people that will come to you, but it does not mean where you meet. For example, we meet at Hotel Africana every 7 p.m. That is not where business ends. You will select a different area where you'll do projects, and impact the community that is there.
And now let's turn our focus to what you're bringing on board for the Rotary Club of Kampala East. What should they expect
I knew you were going
in this
to ask
next
me that question.
1 year? Because, as the president comes up, you have a manifesto. I wouldn't want to believe you have a manifesto as a club, because the club always has its own set objectives and manifestos. But for you, as an individual who is going to be leading the club, the Kampala Rotary, Kampala East
Rotary Club
Rotary Club.
East,
what are you bringing on board as we're summing up with our conversation?
Okay, thank you so much. That is also a very important question, Mr. Sonko. Every year, we come up most times with a different idea of what it is we want to do. This particular year, we are concentrating on consolidating, impacting, and sustaining the projects we have been running with as clubs in Uganda. Like I said, we are 126. But particularly the Rotary Club of Kampala East, our village that we adopted, that's the lingua we use in our fraternity, is in Kasanje Wakiso, where we have the 7 areas I talked about are all celebrated there. We have women, we have girls, we have children that are in need of so many things. Education is a problem. Prevention of disease is also really a problem. But especially with the education and access to water and sanitation are some of the areas we intend to embark on in order to create a convenience. Now, how do you create this convenience? You have to locate these services, of course, according to the needs you identify with them. Just like you and I are having a conversation, you may tell me this is what's hurting me. So they identify this, we prioritize them, and then we go out there and do according to what they need. Okay. So we actually have a forest there as well. It's called the Kalandazi Forest. Yes, we have picnics. We go there, you know, socialize.
It's a beautiful thing to be in then.
But just because we talk about business and professionals, I'm a physical planner by profession, and it would be good if when we are carrying out this development, we are orderly, because we are trying to create order in each and everything that we do. But as we create that impact.
And also, please remind my viewer when the installation of the 37th Kampala Rotary Club of Kampala is
installation. Actually, there's someone who joked about it, said, why did you choose the 4th of July? Because that happens to be the Independence Day of America.
The US. Yes.
No, it had nothing to do with that. It was done in consideration of club members. They actually made this choice because they had just traveled to Singapore for an international convention. We actually do that, Mr. Sonko.
Okay.
At the end of a year, we crown it with a celebration. You know, with a volunteer, there's nothing you can give them to celebrate all they do.
Very true.
So what we do is we gather around, we appreciate you, maybe give you an award.
Okay.
Appreciate all that you have done. So we had members who had traveled to Singapore, and they just requested, let us have it on the 4th of July, when we are back, and then we can all celebrate. So the voice of the people matter.
Indeed. And the president is speaking, and speaking for the people. And there you have it. Jacqueline Mali is the president-elect of the Rotary Club of Kampala East. On the 4th of July, which is next week, Thursday, she will be swearing in and, of course, taking office officially. That is at Hotel Africana as the 37th president of the Rotary Club of Kampala East. And there you have it, the conversations on Rotary and celebrating or having a build-up to the 37th installation of the Rotary Club of Kampala East. Coming up now is more from the Good Morning Uganda Friday edition, but rather this time talking matters tourism and also some bit of entertainment coming your way in the second hour of the show. So stick around, we have more for you here on Good Morning Uganda.
Live from UBC Studio. Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Every Friday, 9 p.m., it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Was brought to you by. I'll call you every day, You can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000. Or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100*21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego. Tonight on UBC.
How do people again end up having land that is registered in such places?
Wetland is protected wherever it is. It doesn't matter whether you own the title or not.
There are people that were growing flowers and some vegetation. How does that affect the good things that come out of wetlands that you mentioned?
To grow flowers there, you create channels. That is already destroying wetland functionality.
Some people expect that there would be even compensations of these buildings that are brought down and other activities.
We cannot compensate you because we are not dispossessing your ownership. We are only saying remove the illegal use and have legal use.
Tonight on UBC.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, good morning. Thank you for being a part of Good Morning Uganda Friday special. Now, earlier we were having a conversation regarding population control after the Uganda Bureau of Statistics released a preliminary report regarding the results of the population census that took place in May 2024. Now, I have a message coming through here from Cricket Derek Gagamel, and he says, I think population growth is some of the characteristics of third world countries. In a country where people are jobless and idle, producing becomes the song of the day. But here in Uganda, I think we all need mindset change as a solution to control the growing population. First of all, some of our fellows still have the African traditional way of thinking that the number of children one has determines their wealth and prestige. And he goes on to say, secondly, fornication is also rampant nowadays. Here, both parents and school owners are responsible for advising underage children about the dangers of having sex at an early age. And he says, lastly, it's our collective responsibility, each of us individually, to know our income status before we think of having children. That is from Cricket Derek Gagamel from Makindye, Luafu. Thank you so much, Derek, for your views on population control. But now we move on and launch into something more interesting for the weekend, because the population is here to stay. But Uganda Uncovered, and when I speak about Uganda Uncovered, the name that comes to mind is Irene Allen Namisango, who is a part of Good Morning Uganda, and she is also in charge of Uganda Uncovered. Now, Uganda Uncovered is launching a writing competition and a magazine today at the Sheraton Hotel in Kampala. But I have the COO of Uganda Uncovered, that is Jonan Katende, with me on set to tell us more about their theme for the year, the writing competition, and why. But first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being a part of Good Morning Uganda.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for loving Uganda.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
You see, you people in the tourism industry, you make us realize what a beauty, a marvel our country is. Some of us would never know how beautiful Uganda is if people like you and Alan were not in the thick of things to show us what this country is made of. So thank you for loving the country.
Absolutely. We do not have any other option apart from loving our own.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at Uganda, Uganda is a very beautiful country, one of the very best on planet Earth. And I'm proudly associated.
All right.
As a Ugandan.
What really makes you excited and happy and proud about Uganda as a country? And here it is diverse in terms of norms, culture, and everything else that comprises of our nation.
Yeah, Uganda, first of all, is among the top 10 biodiverse gifted countries across the world. It has 18,783 species of plants and animals. And that is a very, very huge number. It has over 345 mammalian species. So you do not usually find that in different parts of the world. Okay. Uganda has over 50% of Africa's bird richness. It has the highest population of primates on the planet. And if you look at that critically, that essentially means that Uganda is among the top 10 biodiverse regions across the world. Okay. Sir Winston Churchill wrote in his book, My African Journey in 1908, and he calls Uganda the Pearl of Africa. Why did he call Uganda the Pearl of Africa? He looked at what he was going through. He made his personal observations, and he concluded that Uganda indeed is very different from other countries that he had ever been to. He said that Uganda has birds that are as bright as butterflies, and it has butterflies that are as big as birds. It says that the air in Uganda hums with flying creatures, and the earth before you crawls around.
You just sounded poetic there.
That is something that Uganda has. And Winston Churchill was not basing on unfounded ideologies. These are genuine observations that he looked at, seen, and he decided to crown Uganda as the Pearl of Africa. He said that he had never been to any tropical rainforest that is as luxuriant as the ones in Uganda. So Uganda has a very brilliant story to tell. Mankind and the Ugandans that live here are so welcoming. We have a culture that is extremely appealing, the most hospitable people in the African continent. So I'm really very, very proud of that. And that is why for us and my good folks at Uganda Uncovered, we are engaging in the idea of destination marketing through storytelling. We want to redefine and construct the Ugandan story through writing and many other initiatives.
Well, Katende comes from the Lugave clan here in Buganda, and I happen to come from the same. So one of the unique things about Uganda, especially some regions like Buganda, is that the minute you introduce your name by yourself by your last name, if the person shares your name, it's like you've met your brother or your sister, right? That's one of the most intriguing things about our country, our norms, our culture, and I'm happy that we have managed to maintain these ones. And before we get into our conversation for the day, speaking about culture, there are regions in like northern Uganda who have also held close to their culture. And what can you tell some of the viewers or people that would be interested to come to Uganda about some of the things they would see or culture norms and experiences they would experience if they came to Uganda and probably visited, let's say, northern Uganda?
So thank you so much for that question. So Uganda is, like you said earlier, a very diverse region.
Yes.
We have around 57 tribes in this nation. And all these tribes are very different. They have something different to offer. And that makes it quite exceptional, because if I come in Uganda, where I come from, for example, Baganda have their own cultures, their own norms, and I have a different experience from when I say go to the north and I find the Ik tribe. The Ik tribe is a tribe that has kept still to its customs. You find people that are half naked, some of them are not dressed.
And it's normal.
And it's normal in that part of the world. You find the Karamajong with their cattle keeping culture. And all of these things are very fascinating. You go to the southwest and you find the Batwa. The Batwa are a very interesting ethnic group that previously used to occupy the wind impenetrable forests. And the story is that these guys are quite short. So they believed that when God was creating the world, when he was giving other regions height and things like that, for them he gave them the forest.
I thought you created them last.
No, when he was giving, for example, the Bahima height, for them he gave them the forest. And in the 90s, when they were displaced from the forest, they felt that God had rejected them. Now, these are some of the things that you come across within the Ugandan ecosystem. You go to the north, you go to the east, you find the Bagishu and their cultural practices. You come to the west, you find very, very West Nile, you find very, very different kinds of arrangements, ways of eating, ways of tracing, and that is how art is born, because if we are all the same kind of, if we all had the same kind of conduct and behavior, where would diversity and creativity and art come from? So
I hear you, and all of these different culture norms are the threads that make up the fabric of who we are as Ugandans, which is really interesting and something that is a beauty to behold. Now, moving on, actually before moving on, I remember traveling to Katakwi for the first time early this year, and I saw the manyatas, and it was impressive that these people are living like this, and it is normal, and they don't feel like they are losing out on something because this is their culture, and also because of their weather. But moving on.
In fact, just to supplement on what you found in Katakwi, there is usually a very nice activity that people do, a night with the warriors. So this usually happens when you spend a night with the Karamajong warriors. You spend the entire night awake outside, gazing at the stars, trying to fit and experience the lifestyle that these people live and conduct every day of their lives.
You've truly moved around and traveled, and that's what brings us into the focus of our conversation today. Tell us about Uganda Uncovered. What do you do? What is Uganda Uncovered? And yeah, would like to know.
So Uganda Uncovered is a destination marketing enterprise that aims at positioning Uganda as the most compelling tourist destination in the world. And we do this by crafting a series of activities and coming up with different programs. Those include things like the travel writing competition, through which we look out for young tourism enthusiasts that can tell their own unique experiences and stories in a bid to market Uganda, drive domestic tourism, and things of the sort. So we are literally rewriting the Ugandan story. We also do destination marketing through print and branding. So you've probably seen Ugandan covered shirts.
Beautiful
and
shirts.
And at the back, there is a tagline, "Ask me about Uganda."
Okay.
So Ugandan covered means that Uganda has been exposed. I have had an authentic experience in Uganda. And now you can ask me about Uganda.
And I'll tell you about Uganda.
So when we come around and we give these shirts to travelers, people from Germany, people from the US, these shirts tell a story that nothing else can tell. It's more like a souvenir. So imagine someone walking in Munich in Germany and they have asked me about Uganda at their back. It's a testimony that you have been to Africa, to the Pearl of Africa, to a very beautiful country. So we market destinations like that through print and branding, but then we also do destination profiling. You have just talked about the northern Uganda. There are quite a lot of places up there that have never been visited, that are literally going unnoticed. In 2022, in the travel writing edition, one of the people wrote about the world's smallest church. The theme then was my 100% recommendable destination. This person, she was called Beatrice, she wrote about the world's smallest church, and it is Bethel Church in Nebi on Buku Hill. It's a very small church that can only accommodate 3 people. I didn't know. Now, these are the kinds of things that we do. We visit destinations that are largely unpopular, but have a very huge potential. We give them visibility, and we tell their stories so that we can inspire many Ugandans and international travelers to go there.
Okay, that's impressive. Now, let's talk about the travel writing competition. Why the travel writing competition? Who is the target audience? Who are the people that are submitting their writing? Are they in the tourism industry? Do they come from other sectors? And why is it happening?
Thank you. So, the travel writing competition. Why travel writing?
Yes.
First of all.
Yes.
Like I've told you that we believe in the power of the pen. If Winston Churchill had not written in his book, My African Journey, crowning Uganda as the Pearl of Africa, right now we wouldn't be calling Uganda the Pearl of Africa. But writing has the power to record your experiences, your memories, put them into pen so that they can speak to another person and give them a picture of the experiences and the things that you've actually gone through and lived. So that is why we are using storytelling approaches. We're living in an information generation. We wake up in an ocean of notifications, memes, TikTok videos and stuff like that.
And
so
all of those are ways of communication.
Absolutely. So for us, we are looking at how we can provide authentic content and information about Uganda using Ugandans specifically that have lived through these experiences. So we are looking at 18 to 35-year-old Ugandans.
From which sectors?
From all kinds of sectors. You see, the funny thing about writing, people think that it's for a special few. But I want to encourage people that every person all of us are unique. Every person is valuable, and every voice has a story to tell. Your DNA is different from mine. Where we come from this common ancestor, we are both from the same clan.
Yes.
But your DNA is different from mine.
Yes.
Your fingerprint is different from mine. So you have a story that you can write about, that you can tell, that is different from how I would personally envision it.
Yes.
So right now we are looking for present-day Winston Churchills that can redefine the narrative, that can tell the new Ugandan story, that can write about their authentically lived experiences out there so that they can inspire people. And we are not looking at particular sectors because some people think that this is a tourism thing. The person who won the last year's edition, which was the 3rd edition, Mercy Twinomjini, she works with the French embassy. She's in the education sector. The one who won the 2nd edition is a journalist. The one who won the 1st edition is a mechanical engineer, George Gumekiriza. So these are different talents, and I think this is the power of a travel writing competition. We believe that talent doesn't die. It just goes unnoticed, while potential does not exist until you realize it.
Okay, so our time is fast spent, but as we close, tell us about the launch of the travel magazine and the event that is happening today.
So yeah, thank you. The event is happening right now, actually. It started at 7 a.m. at Sheraton Hotel.
Yes.
At the KCC Tourism Information Center. That's where we're going to be. We are going to launch the first travel writing magazine with 100% locally sourced content. So the people who took part in the previous editions of the travel writing competition, the articles were edited and screened through a team of experts, and we formed the travel writing magazine. So we are going to be launching that at Sheraton Hotel today. We're also going to be launching the travel writing competition. We invite all people to be there. We'll be very happy and glad to welcome and see as many of them.
Okay, so now what are your socials if people want to get in touch with you or any other contact information?
Yes, so you can visit our website at www.ugandancovered.com. Then you can also find us on Twitter, Uganda Uncovered, on Instagram, and on Facebook.
All right, so Uganda Uncovered, do you have a gift of writing, or you want to try your quill, dearest gentle reader, if you watch Bridgerton? So anyway, you can try this out. You can submit your writing. How do they do it?
Yeah, you can submit your writing through the website. So if you visit our website, there is a pop-up that will come up to submit your article, and when you click submit, it leads you to a Google form. You can also scan our QR code from the different social media handles, but also right on the website there is a tab that has submit your article to a travel writing competition, so they can eventually take part.
Well, I've been having this conversation with Jonan Katende, the COO Uganda Uncovered. They are launching a travel magazine today at the Sheraton Hotel in Kampala, but they're also launching a travel writing competition. And he said you can visit their website to submit your article, dearest gentle writer. My name is Olive. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, Good Morning Uganda Friday special continues. We have so much more gathered for you in terms of entertainment. So don't do anything apart from staying here and watching, because we are coming right back.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Every Friday 9 p.m., it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving credit to my servant.
We have said that if we are to talk to General Museveni, there must be certain conditions in place.
Is it true that you paid 5 million shillings to MPs that voted for?
Was brought to you by. I'll call you every day, yeah, yo, you can now get all the Chibuzi out with MTN voice bundles. Call all networks. Kubei Dondoro. Buy a 25-minute voice bundle for only 1,000, or buy any daily voice bundle of your choice. Dial *100 *21# and select daily, or use the My MTN app. When we talk together, we are unstoppable.
107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, you know what happens every single Friday? We make sure that we have something to take you through the weekend as we prepare to return on a Monday. Now, this very morning, we are recommending some movies for you to watch. And that is what I'm here to do at this moment. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Please do pass by Sheraton for Uganda Uncovered, and great stuff await. If you're someone who is very passionate about tourism, I highly, highly recommend that you pass by. Now, let's cross over and see what we can watch this very weekend. With me is a recommendation of that goes by the name of The Blue Angels. Now, The Blue Angels, this is a 2024 documentary film about Blue Angels pilots of the United States Navy. This was directed by Paul Crowder and released ahead of the Memorial Day weekend by Amazon MGM Studios on May 17th, 2024. In IMAX theaters, and that was in IMAX theaters, and on May 23rd, that was on Amazon Prime. This film generally received positive reviews from criticisms, from critics, and these critics praised the flying shots, but also criticized the lack of human drama. Critics have described the film as a G-rated advertisement for the military. Well, whatever it is, if they are doing well, it's a good catch. Definitely, this is a movie that you want to catch up on this weekend. Take a look at the trailer, and then we'll be back with another recommendation.
The jets just kind of freed. At 4 years old, my dad took me to an air show, and I got to watch the Blue Angels fly for the very first time. This year, we're bringing 5 new people into this team. Something I never thought was actually going to happen.
It's 1 in a million.
We only have 3 months to get to a point where we can take it on the road.
It can be frustrating at times. The challenge is to get the newbies up to speed, and that can be scary. When you're flying 12 inches apart, everybody's lives are in each other's hands.
It's an eye-opener for how inherently dangerous this job is.
Ready, roll, hat.
Every once in a while, the jets just kind of freeze, and the world around you seems to spin.
To make 6 jets fly as one, that's the Blue Angel magic. I just pinched myself. We get a chance to be part of it.
It is a documentary, and if you're someone that really loves to follow documentaries, well, that is one that you need to. But if you also love a bit of action in your movies, I really recommend that you try and also pick up on the story of how some of these things run. Now, the next recommendation is an upcoming movie, so that means it is not yet out, but in a few months it will be out. That is going to be on the 16th of August, this very same year. Now, The Union is an upcoming American spy action comedy thriller that is directed by Julian Farino from a screenplay by Joe Barton and David Guggenheim. And this film stars Mark Wahlberg, Halle Berry, Mike Colter, and a very interesting name from an African country. Take a look at the trailer.
Get away with you, huh?
Something like that. Welcome to London, Mikey.
Rox, what the hell? Where did Jersey go?
Hell of a wake-up call, huh, Mike? I'm Roxanne's boss. You drive.
Somebody needs to tell me what the hell is going on.
Bullshit!
First time in London, Mike?
This first time out of the tri-state area.
2 nights ago, a list containing the identities of every U.S. spy was stolen. And to get it back, we need someone who is not on that list.
We need a nobody. A nobody I can trust.
So what, you guys like the FBI or something?
We work for the Union.
We're looking for street smarts over book smarts.
Ow!
Reflex bad.
And we get shit done.
What he said. Go! Reflex. Still bad. Stop!
Huh? Okay, here we go.
All right, yeah, he's dead. How dangerous is it gonna be?
Piece of cake. I mean, you know, unless it isn't.
Hellberry. I think this is definitely one catch that we are waiting for. On the 16th of August, it is going to be out, and I'm definitely going to be here to remind you that you can catch up on the movie. Now, the third recommendation is 12 Final Days. This is a 2024 film. This is a documentary film directed by Asif Kapadia and Joe Sabia. It follows Roger Federer in the last 12 days of his professional career, which ended at the 2022 Lever Cup. It premiered at the Tribeca Festival on 10th June this very same year and was released on Amazon Prime Video on 20th June 2024. If you are someone that loves documentaries, this is another one for you.
41 years old. I've played more than 1,500 matches over 24 years. Tennis has treated me more generously than I ever would have dreamt. And now I must recognize when it is time to end my competitive career. What are we, 45 minutes away from posting? Every message now I'm like,
Losing someone of Roger's magnitude will be tough.
I used to watch the players with a sense of wonder. They were like giants to me, and I began to dream.
It's a sad day for tennis, but you know, Roger's legacy will live forever, that's for sure.
I thought until this morning I had emotions in check, but I can feel it coming up.
He will play the Laver Cup. That'll be his last match of his career. Djokovic, Nadal, Murray, they're all...
I would definitely want to watch this documentary. If you're someone that loves a bit of sports, in there is where you'll be finding some bit of those details now. Coming up is going to be sports. But before that, I want to let you know that we are going to be having T-Paul on Zoom because the miscommunication that happened took him to UBC somewhere in the West. But then again, we shall be having him on Zoom performing for us either way technology came to save the day. Now, T-Paul has a number of songs, that some of which I know, and I'm looking forward to, some of the music that he's going to be singing for us. But if you've had something like Far Away, Muchakaze, Die For You, Single, and some other songs in Runyankole. So please stay tuned. But coming up is Jerome Paul's song called With the Man himself, Ruben Impima, with the sports update for this Friday morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Tonight on UBC.
How do people again end up having land that is registered in such places?
Wetland is protected wherever it is. It doesn't matter whether you own the title or not.
There are people that were growing flowers and some vegetation. How does that affect the good things that come out of wetlands that you mentioned?
To grow flowers there, you create channels. That is already destroying wetland functionality.
Some people expect that there would be even compensations of these buildings that are brought down and other activities.
We cannot compensate you because we are not dispossessing your ownership. We are only saying remove the illegal use and have legal use.
Tonight on UBC.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Welcome back from the break, and here it's Good Morning Uganda Friday edition. It's now time for sports. Ruben Pima Chiberango joins us, and on Friday he's always on the left side of your screen to ensure that he gives you what you should expect from the world of sport, especially from the local scene when it comes to some basketball and some local rugby, but also in Europe where the Euros is taking place, and at the same time in the United States there is the Copa America. But tomorrow, Saturday, the Euros will be heading into the round of last 16, and I should tell you that all the teams that Ruben predicted to have one winner are still in the competition. So I guess his predictions are still right on the money. A very good morning, Ruben, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Joram Paul Sonko. How have you been?
I'm doing okay.
I saw a picture yesterday somewhere. You with somebody. I was almost asking myself who that person is. And you told me that maybe the time is right.
The person
so can you clarify on that?
The person who took the picture, first of all, I didn't notice.
They are taking the picture.
The angles they used to take the picture. As I was getting a phone number to ensure that I start my race.
Okay. So was it positive? Could we expect something?
The results are showing some positivity. Not as much as expected, but it's a good start.
Okay. I just pray that you succeed. Such things are really nice. I'll tell you. I've been there before and I know what it means. But anyway, Sonko, we have the Euros commencing tomorrow. Actually, the round of 16 starts tomorrow. And the first game is at 7 p.m. between the Azzurri against the Switzerland. Yes. The only disadvantage here is actually Ricardo Carafiori is out of this game because he got a booking.
He's in the news in Europe these days.
He's been a good player.
Which number does he play?
Actually, for me, I am torn between a number 5 and a number 4. Oh. Sometimes he steps in the midfield to cover up for Barrera and whoever partners Barrera. Jorginho, not Jorginho, it's called Jorginho.
In the Italian.
Yeah, it's Jorginho. So it steps up, and for me, the goal he created against Croatia is something that nobody has actually paid attention to. He drove the ball forward, and instead of shooting at goal, he chose to pass the ball to Zakani, and then the Zakani just had to put it home. So for me, it's a big miss for the Azzurri, and Spalletti might be scratching his head. Who can partner Bastoni in this game? But I believe that the Swiss also have a fantastic squad that is led by the man himself, Xhaka, the former Arsenal player. So if Xhaka and the man you love most, the shirt 7, that forward, and the name is funny, you can mention it anyway.
Epolo. All Ugandans are very excited when he's playing.
He said he's going to. I don't know how to pronounce such names, so you can educate me. So it's called who? But anyway,
where does that man come from? Because
first, actually, he's Cameroonian, but Swiss. The roots are from Cameroon. Yeah, so but he's a Swiss player. He plays for Switzerland, and for me, whenever the commentator of Soroco Radio is here, I mention that name, I get excited. But anyway, the second game is Germany against Denmark. That will be at 10 p.m. And of course, that will be tomorrow. Then Sunday, there will be 2 games. England takes on Slovakia, yes, at 7. And at 10, on Sunday, Spain will take on Georgia. Now, this is an easy fixture for the 2 teams. I mean, if England had played Denmark, or even
it would be very
tricky. Switzerland,
or Italy,
it would be very hard for them. But them taking on Slovakia is an easy fixture, is an easy pie to take in. So I believe that the Netherlands can take charge of that game. Then of course we'll have France against Belgium. Good game there. France Belgium. Then Portugal Slovenia. That will be on Monday. Then, of course, on Tuesday, we'll have Romania against Netherlands, and Austria will take on Turkey.
That is for the round of 16.
Yes, round of 16. We'll have, that is the fixture, of course. And for me, what I'm looking out at this round is actually the games that you can pick out. France, Belgium, that will be Monday at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Then Romania, Netherlands. I pick out Romania is the Dutch have not actually. Romania is a team that has been there, that know what to do when it comes to such a tournament. The Dutch might come with the stars from Depay to Van Dijk. But the Romanians will say that even if you come with the big stars, we have a team. We can play. We can really cause a chaos here. So, and for me, I will be rooting for Romania.
Because of how they are playing,
yes,
as a team.
And of course, there's a player who played for Romania a couple of years ago. I think 30 years ago, 25 years ago, George Hagi, one of the best playmakers I've watched in my time. So whenever I watch Romania play, my mind goes to George Hagi and Rodishu. So if these boys get the Hagi element in them, the Dutch are no more. Okay. But of course, the Copa America, you mentioned the Copa America. We had games played this morning in the Copa America. Panama did beat USA by 2-1. There were 2 red cards in that game. 2 red cards for USA. USA, the man who was sent off is actually Timothy Weah, the son to George Weah. Yes, was sent off in that game. And then, of course, the side of Panama, we had Adalberto Carrasquilla. I was also sent off from that game as well. So the game ended 2-1 in favor of Panama and Dechibimba. Now the betters.
Uruguay and Bolivia 5 beating someone 5-0.
No, but for me, Uruguay is a strong team. Pedestri, Nunes, Araujo, Valverde, and Bentancur. Okay. Those are players. Bentancur plays at actually at Spurs. Then Valverde is at Real Madrid. Araujo is at Barcelona. Okay. Nunes plays for Liverpool. Okay. Then Pedestri plays for United. The youngster who went out for loan in Sevilla.
And he's there bowling for Uruguay.
They're good players, if you ask me. As we come into studio, no, tomorrow is Saturday. We won't be here.
As we'll be resting a bit.
There will be Colombia against Costa Rica at 1 a.m. Then Paraguay will take on Brazil. That game will be at 4 a.m. tomorrow.
So it's more like the time zones of the NBA. And then so some Formula 1 action coming up on Sunday, Ruben, for the Formula 1 fans. What should they be expecting? And of course, as we are summing up with our sports this morning, the Austria. Is it the Austria Grand Prix? Yeah, of course, it's Austria Grand Prix. That will be taking place. And of course, for me, I'll highlight on what happened when we went to Spain. Like I said it here, I think it was a Monday or with the team on the score. Now these days it's about the tires. There are the soft tires, the intermediate, and of course the hard tires. So what made Lando Norris lose the race in Spain, in Catalonia, was because he thought that as they go towards the final 20 laps, he could actually change to the hard tires, and the hard tires were not moving at a faster speed. And when they communicated to the team that is Red Bull, told Verstappen that this man is struggling with the hard tires, but Verstappen went to do the pitting and got soft tires on. Then he started the race, and that's how he won the Grand Prix. So, and of course, what made news in Spain is your friend Lewis Hamilton finished on the podium, finishing third. Yes. So in Austria, we expect him to also come back and be part of the guys in the podium.
You would love to see him do better. That is in Austria. Well, yes, that's it from sport.
And sports this Friday at 1:30 p.m. Ruben returns with Kule and
Michael Senfuma
as
the evergreen Senfuma.
Oh, he's evergreen.
Evergreen. you know.
The sportsmen here. They'll be returning on at 1:30 here on the score to give you more of what is coming in from sports, both locally and internationally, and maybe some predictions ahead of the round of 16 action in the Euros 2024. And for you, our dear viewer, keep it here on Good Morning Uganda Friday edition, because Chantal Oliver Kaninda now returns with T-Paul live from Mbarara. Stick around. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Tonight on UBC.
How do people again end up having land that is registered in such places?
Wetland is protected wherever it is. It doesn't matter whether you own the title or not.
There are people that were growing flowers and some vegetation. How does that affect the good things that come out of wetlands that you mentioned?
To grow flowers there, you create channels. That is already destroying wetland functionality.
Some people expect that there would be even compensations of these buildings that are brought down and other activities.
We cannot compensate you because we are not dispossessing your ownership. We are only saying remove the illegal use and have legal use.
Tonight on UBC.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life. 107.3 Kampala, 96.9 Mbale, 95.7 Jinja, 98.6 Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Mutego. UBC Mutego.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model, PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better.
PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
107.3, Kampala 96.9, Mbale 95.7, Jinja 98.6, Soroti. You are all covered.
UBC Butego. UBC Butego.
Well, it's still a special Friday here on Good Morning Uganda. Thank you for sticking around. And as earlier on we talked about T-Paul joining us, and we thought he was going to be in studio, but looks like physically he went to a different studio. But we had to make it possible to have him in studio virtually, and that is what we are going to be doing in a few minutes. But a few minutes ago, I was having a conversation with Joram Paul, and he was trying to learn some Ronyankole words. I don't know which reason he has for learning the language. I pray to God that it's not a... He says he's going to Kashari. What is in Kashari, Paul? Jerome Paul wants to go to Kashari and he's practicing words like Bajenzi. I would highly recommend you listen to some of the music from some of these people from the West, because especially the love music, you will know how to package your words better, and you'll be doing way better. Even when you go to Kashari to bring her home, when they play the songs, you'll be able to dance and sing along. But yes, the conversation here is that Jerome Paul is trying to learn Runyankole, and I would say when you go to music, for example, from the West, you have people like T-Paul, 256. We also have rappers, by the way, just that I tend to forget this person's name, but we have some rappers from the West. And then we also have, of course, Ray G, who recently had a very successful concert here in Kampala. It was a good one that did really well. So before you exit the studio, Jerome Paul, one more time, you need to listen to this music. Whichever word you don't understand, me, I'm here. I'll teach you and explain those words to you. Also, when you're pronouncing the words, they have a certain accent that they use. Now that is where I think you'll be finding a challenge. But practice makes, my teacher used to say, practice makes permanent. So it will get better with time. So to you who wants to learn the language, especially because today's artist is from the West, with songs like Echirabo, songs like Nkundiwe, and when you listen to this music, actually, first of all, the lyrics and how it flows, when you look at how the words are packaged, I think it is good music that we are putting out and trying to diversify in terms of, we've seen artists from the West come to the Central and they only sing in English and Luganda, and they can't articulate their languages, especially musically, but also they tend to think their music will not sell if they sing in their mother languages, which I think is absurd. But we have seen some of these artists do it pretty well, and I believe anyone can do it. I mean, language connects us. We've had cases where, for example, there is an artist from the DR Congo. No, not the DR Congo, Congo Brazzaville. That is a Yalevi, who's going to be here, by the way, in August. Our international boyfriend. But he sings in his language. He sings in some. He sings a bit of French. And some other languages. You may not understand all the words, but there is something about rhythm, there is something about music that will always have a catch. It will have a hold on you for as long as you're a music lover. And well, I believe that is what we need to base on to sing in our languages. Then let's sell the languages out there. I believe if someone were to come to Uganda and there was a concert in the West, for example, and it was dominated by Western artists, then it would be, when it comes to tourism itself, it would be something that is great for the country. And well, I believe it is something that we need to embrace in the arts industry, in the entertainment industry. And as Ugandans, whether you're from the north, from the east, from the southwest, from the central, you can embrace any language for as long as we are speaking matters music at the end of the day. As we are waiting for T-Paul to be joining us, we're going to get into a bit of more music, and I think T-Paul is here with me. Good morning, T-Paul. Thank you for joining us. It's really sad that you could not make it to studio. I'm a very big fan of your music, for starters, and I'm glad we get to have this conversation. How are you feeling this Friday morning?
Bad, and I'm also glad to be here. This is the first time to be on UBC, you know, and I'm happy to meet you, Chantal, as well.
It's good to meet you too, Paul, and hopefully next time you'll be coming to Kampala. It would be nice to have you in studio.
It was a bad on my side, for real. I kind of had a miscommunication, but apologies. I'll
It is
definitely
well.
make it up to you guys when I'm
Mhm.
in Kampala and come and pass by.
It is well. Now,
Yeah.
I understand. I've been someone that has actually listened to your music, which I find really good. I really love your music, and I would love to just ask you this one question: what makes you sing in Runyankole, yet the biggest percentage of artists cannot get themselves to perform in their mother languages?
Well, the thing about singing your dialect is because you are original. You
Mhm.
cannot be better than someone at what they are. Like
Right.
I cannot sing Luganda better than someone who is naturally Muganda. I
Mhm.
cannot sing English better than the Ed Sheerans, you know.
Right. Right. Great.
Better to be, and in being you, you can teach something out there. Even Ed Sheeran will listen to something, it's like, hey, this is something unique.
Right.
This is something new. But trying to be them, they kind of seeing you like a clone.
That is very true. To give us a bit, do we have any activities that we should be looking out for from you? It could be a collaboration, it could be new music you're releasing, it could be maybe a show or something. Anything we should be looking out for?
Yeah, definitely. This year, management is thinking about preparing my first maiden concert at Mbara University but it
Right.
is still underway. The preparations are still underway. But when we come out with a full communication on the dates, we'll be communicating. But this year, something might come. And about collaborations, I have full hopes in that one major collaboration that's coming very soon, though I won't give more details
It's
about it,
okay.
but I believe it's going to be a special one.
Okay, great. Now, I will not be using so much of your time. I understand that we'll be getting some melodies from you this morning, and I think I should leave you to that because we had promised our viewers we would have some melodies to usher them into the weekend, and I'm very excited for that as well.
Well, I heard you earlier say your favorite song is Echirabo. Maybe I could start with that.
Sounds
Or you
good.
have another favorite song.
I think one of the songs that I like is Nkundiwe and Tino Ndijo. I hope I'm reading them
Okay, I
right.
think let
Yes.
me do Nkundiwe.
Yes.
Maybe a tam something like that.
Great, great.
Right. Baby, I'm sorry. Okuna yerabizajo with the other girls. No be manye bia Julie. You went on my she's just a crazy girl. Nakunde bia bend over. Twak twak. Na leg over. Mukambire bend over. Kunkamazima, she's just my friend. Ochimanya kundiwe, n'umutima harimiwe. Ochimanya nkasindiwe, n'amagara harimiwe, baby. Kundiwe, tuhirarinkiwe, oh yeah. No one can replace you, kundiwe. Oh, yeah. Nimanya obumwe ebintu nibicankara nanyo nakashera omukanyisha nimbandana konkiwonya kiro mikono yawe onchere feza nezabu oncherra nabari abo buseri onchere feza nezabu oncherra n'obwishiki bw'obuseri nokimanya nkundiwe n'umutima harimiwe nokimanya nkasindiwe n'omagara harimiwe baby. Yeah, that's Nkundiwe. And the lady's favorite song, Tam Tam. Well, it's also my favorite, so let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes, yeah. Okay. Ni wanted of chomshana gukujwa tuk tuk tuk. Yeah. Ni wareta na tutuka wenjure vayegwa. tinkwishukizo beryarenjire ntakutekatekireho omukiro ntakurosarosireho iwe Chantal yeah. Konkobukwire darling yowe nakira omutima gwahora yewe nanakira iwori tamtam kankurimereho nkagamgam kubiwe okanteza chamcham baby baby come closer tamtam kankurimereho nkagamgam kubiwe okanteza chamcham baby baby come yeah iwe kashana kakasheshe moyechirano wanje busheshe bizo bandirenze bene iwe kabagambe okwijuze nsiri wanje baby oryomoti my baby tomuriwe nkamara omutima gwanje amagara ganje gakamara baby omuriwe nkamara omutima gwanje gukamara amagara ganje gakamara oryomoti. Yeah.
I love that.
Thank you.
Now you understand why I love that song. It's a very beautiful song.
Thank you.
So when you're saying it, were you thinking about someone in particular?
I think the reason you have a good attachment with Nkundi, probably you have an experience. Is there a Julie out there?
It carries a good message. Now you're reversing the question to me. It carries a good message. I was asking if you were inspired by someone to write the song or sing the song.
Definitely. We sing about the things we go through most of the times. But in most cases, you find what you've gone through, 1,000 others have gone through.
That is very true.
So it just finds a connection.
Right. I wanted to ask, do you write these songs for yourself, or you get some help from someone, or it's entirely you writing this music?
I write, but then I'm not a one-man army. I have management that scrutinizes what I write and filters what to leave in, what to leave out, and actually chips in knowledge. We also have people who have good music ears that we take to our projects, and they like or comment or give ideas. So it's not a one-man team. I only do the raw crafts, but the final copy has gone through a lot of scrutinization.
Okay. Just before we conclude, I would like to know what you would hope for musicians, especially those who are more centered to producing music, one in their mother tongues, and also who are trying to break barriers from different parts, from other regions, trying to break into to other regions like the central, like the north, and the country over.
And the country and Africa, because you also need those Grammys.
Very
Amen
true.
to that. Anyway, so I think you'd need to chip in a few words that cut across or globally. That is the English words, I think. You have to chip in a few English words in your dialect, so that your dialect is your uniqueness. Then the English is for that someone who does not maybe properly understand your dialect to have a feel or a structure, a construct of what your song is about.
Right.
So it gives them initiative to even find out what was he speaking about in his dialect, so that I fully get to understand what he was saying, because you initiated that with a few words that they understand.
Great.
So I'd advise them to chip in a few English words there, but not majorly kujituga. Don't overstress on that English. Be original. Trust me, to work out for you.
Great. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation and for being with us to have this conversation. Lastly, how do I get you, for example, on social media? And if you have the social media pages, you can let us know which ones, and how do we get to you easily on either of those? And then we'll have the last song, and me, I think I'll have called it a day.
Thank you. My name is T Paul 256. Like I've mentioned, it is what you search on all social media platforms. T Paul 256. That is Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, especially because I have some new projects there. Please put that subscription there, and it's a huge support that I'll kindly and highly appreciate. The last word is I love you guys, and let's keep the following coming in. Take time to reach out to search about T-Paul. The music is available on all music platforms, Spotify, iTunes, Boomplay, everywhere. T-Paul 256. You really have to. You understand who this guy is.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, personally, I do
And
have
plus
T-Paul on my Spotify.
Yeah.
I do have T-Paul on my Spotify. Now, I want to leave you with the last song. So to you, our dear viewer, thank you for staying with us. And Good Morning Uganda returns on Monday. So please do stick around. But of course, programming continues here on UBC Television. For now, I'll leave you with T-Paul to usher you into the weekend. From me and the rest of the team, Monday it is. Actually, next month, yeah? See you then.
Yeah. Me with you, rose. Now I'm feeling the complete. Abo bari cheba gambe, it's alright. Kuba niwe wenka, I'm loving. Kokunkwata ho girl, I feel it. Omo meisho gawe, I read it. Omo mtima gwanje, I mean it. Kuba niwe wenka, I'm loving. Nabandi niwe. Omo kundori nanye. Reka bibe bigambo tibimara kushobora rukunde ntine iwe wabori nanye umukundo wanje niwe reka bibe bigambo tibimara kushobora rukunde ntine tindiro have to embrace you tindikoma to love you araguma ariwe my only one mpaka the end. She went kunda your smile, kind and terror your style. Tingendo zehare, no biakubi, one night. They can't kugambire everything. They want chaser every day. Ninyenda ankore overtime. Kuhe everything. Never anyway. Omukundore nanye. Reka bibe bigambo tibimara kushobora rukunde itine iwe wabori nanye umukundo wanje niwe reka bibe bigambo tibimara kushobora rukunde itine. Yeah.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
On UBC.
One-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
A weekly face-to-face conversation focusing on accountability, inspiration, information, and sensitization of the public from the various sources, such as inspirational profiles.
Having a disability is not inability.
Every Friday, 9 p.m., it's one-on-one with Michael Jordan Lukomwa.
Don't you see anywhere that you would give a credit in the fight against COVID?
My role as the owner of the country is not to, be preoccupied by giving. We have